Hi everyone, my name is Emrul Hasan. So I'm a CFA, FRM, and PhD in finance. I teach econ and finance courses in different university in Vancouver, Canada. I'm also the content director and instructor of CFA at the Princeton Review CFA program, self-paced. Right at the beginning of the preparation, a lot of the candidates ask what should be the best study order for level 1 exam. Should we follow the same order that CFA Institute recommends? And they have 6 books in the curriculum. First book is start with ethics and then quant. Should we follow the structure and how should we approach this preparation? In this video, I'm going to explain there is probably a more efficient way of structuring your preparation. Let's start. Let's talk about the best study order for the CFA Level 1 exam. So first, always make sure you understand the learning outcome statements for each separate different readings, because the exam questions are not supposed to be out of this LOS. So you can get those LOS in the CFA actual books, or you can just simply Google CFA sessions or CFA learning outcome statements to know exactly what will be tested. And focus on the action word too. Sometimes you may not need to know the calculations. You just need to understand the formula. So also focus on how each topic is weighted for the level 1 exam. It's changing almost every year nowadays, but hopefully for 2000 and 2021, it's not going to change that much. But now they have a varying weight for each topic in the level 1 exam, so that you can focus more on the areas those are heavily weighted. The next slide, I will show you exactly how much each topic is weighted for the actual exam. Then develop your study plan around the learning objective statement. This will help you to focus on the right topics for the exam. Start studying early. Make sure you budget about 300 hours of a study. In the 2018 CFA candidate survey says on average, candidates spend about 300 plus hours for all 3 levels of the CFA exam. However, if you can significantly cut down that hours if you join the right prep program. At Princeton Review, we kind of suggest that our notes are very condensed. So if you read those and if you watch the videos and do the drills, you should be able to do this in around 150 to 200 hours. Again, look, exactly how many hours people will spend to prepare for CFA Level 1 exam ultimately depends on the background. So this is an average, 300 hours. Some people take 100, some people take 200, and some people may even take in 400 or 500, depending on what their backgrounds are. Of course, the finance majors or accounting majors take less time to prepare for this exam. Make a study plan and make sure that you don't deviate from that plan. It's very easy to make a schedule. From my experience, I can say of teaching CFA Level 1 candidates over the year, they actually spend a lot of time making a schedule on Excel, but they don't really follow this. So make a realistic schedule for your exam. Which topic to study first? Like I promised, I will show you the weights, and these are the weights at least for the 2021 exam. So if you look at the one that I've highlighted, ethics are heavily weighted. It used to be 15% before. Now it can be anywhere from 15 to 20%. The next important area is financial reporting and analysis. It's still considered one of the toughest area of CFA Level 1 exam, especially for students who are not from accounting background. When I wrote my exam, this section used to be 20%. Then the other 2 areas are pretty heavily weighted, are equity and fixed income. Fixed income is still considered, again, one of the toughest areas in all 3 levels of CFA exam. But equity investment, students normally enjoy this topic. It's not that complicated. The other areas such as quant, econ, corporate finance, derivatives, alternatives, and portfolio management are weighted around 5 to 8% and 8 to 12%. So our recommendation is do not study the curriculum in the order of the study session. So the curriculum comes up with 6 textbooks, you probably know already. Starts with the first book that have ethics and then quant, but do not follow the order of CFA study sessions. So through our experience of teaching CFA for almost, especially my experience, almost for 8 years now, there are more efficient and logical ways of ordering the learning. So here is what we recommend. You start with quant. I'll tell you why in a bit. Then you go to econ, then FRA, then equity, portfolio management, corporate finance, fixed income, derivatives, alternatives, and finally ethics. Even though it's the heaviest area, but it's better to leave it for at the end. I'll explain why in my next slide. Which topics to study first? At the beginning, I said start with quant. The reason is very simple actually, because quantitative method teaches you basic undergrad level statistics such as probabilities, time value of money, statistics such as hypothesis testing. Some of these concepts will benefit you in the future readings, especially in portfolio management, fixed income, derivatives, and corporate finance, etc. So that builds a foundation for a lot of other topics. That's why we recommend you start with quant, which is around 8 to 12%. My guess is about 10% of the exam question will be from quant. Next, you move to econ. I'm listening to some other teachers too who push econs farther down. I want you to go through econ first. The reason is several concepts, especially in equity investment for level 1, but once you go to level 2 and level 3, several concepts also in fixed income and portfolio management are related to macroeconomics. So obviously you're not going to write only one level of the CFA exam, right? But let's focus on level 1 for now. Even on that, economics builds a little bit of foundation of equity later. Not only this, questions from this topic are relatively short, but because they're very conceptual, you should probably spend quite a bit of time on this, especially if your background is not economics. We are guessing about 10% question from that. Then you have FRA, financial reporting and analysis. Accounting students have an upper hand on this because it talks about balance sheet, income statement, cash flow statement, and going deeper into different assets, such as long-lived assets, inventories, and also goes deeper into some liabilities. It's a very challenging section, especially if your background is not accounting. So you should devote the most time on this section. I'm guessing around 15% question will be from FRA. Next, equity. Good news is that it's an interesting topic to most candidates. Actually, if you look at the candidates' employment of CFA, almost double analysts work with equities versus fixed income because they find it more interesting than fixed income. Okay, so, but it has a pretty high weightage, but it's fairly straightforward. It's not a difficult topic. Okay, I'm guessing around 11 to 12% question should be from equity. Next, portfolio management. The thing with portfolio management, its weight is pretty small. It's about 5 to 8%, I believe. However, it has a lot of readings. Especially, there are some readings on risk management, fintech, and also technical analysis at the end. Technical analysis used to be part of quant before, but from 2020, they have moved it under portfolio management, which makes a lot of sense. However, portfolio management takes longer for people to learn, but it's only 5 to 8% in level 1, but do not take it lightly because this foundation you're going to learn in portfolio management are going to be extremely important in level 2 and level 3, especially in level 2, about 20% of the exam is from portfolio, and in level 3, it's about 35 to 40%. So the reason they have a lot of readings, they're trying to build the foundation around that, but the reason we've put that right in the middle in your preparation because it's only 5 to 8%. Then corporate finance, probably the easiest topic in the whole curriculum. However, it's easy for people to get lost on some corporate governance items. That part is a little bit dry, like ethics, but it's part of corporate finance, and we are guessing about 10 to 11% questions from this area, but it's a pretty easy area. Fixed income. Candidates find this topic to be challenging, as I mentioned before, in all 3 levels of CFA exam. The reason is this concept of fixed income are usually not taught in many undergrad programs. The places that I teach, these are actually taught in the MSc finance program, but not in undergraduate finance program. And that's why candidates, even with finance background, find this topic confusing and a little bit difficult because there's a lot of formulas there that they come from calculus, but it's difficult to understand for people who have very little math background. Challenging topic, pretty important. So I'm guessing about 10 to 11% questions should be from fixed income. Then finally, 2 topics, derivatives and alternatives, both are about 5 to 8 and 5 to 8%, but both are pretty simple, low weightage, and they're easy to understand. Especially alternatives are becoming more and more focused on real estate and futures, forwards, and then infrastructures, hedge funds. Candidates find it pretty interesting to read. So it's not really that difficult. And alternatives have only one reading anyway. And you have to read one, and then you get 5 to 8% question from that. So if you leave it for the end, it's okay. Same with derivatives. There are only 2 readings in level 1 from derivatives, and there are 5 to 8% of the question going to come from only 2 readings. So we can keep it for the end. The last topic is ethics. You're probably thinking, why is he not talking about ethics yet? It's an important topic, don't get me wrong, especially there is a myth, and I think it's kind of a fact, to be honest, that what we are hearing from industry, that if you're at the margin means, let's say, no one knows what the CFA level 1 passing mark is, but let's say it's 65% for a particular year, but you got 64.5. So at that margin, whether they will bump you up to 65% depends on what's your score on ethics. So to look at your numbers, if you got above 70% or past ethics, they will bump you up to 65%. That's what we are hearing. We can guarantee. And it also covers 15 to 20% of the exam. It's a very important topic, don't get me wrong, but especially for students with English speaking abilities, ethics is super duper easy. But the best way to learn ethics is not by reading. The best way to learn ethics is by practicing. But as much practice as possible with as many cases and scenarios. CFA ethics haven't changed a lot over the years, but they have to come up with hundreds and hundreds of questions every year. So that's why I have a feeling they're kind of exhausting the number of cases and scenarios that examiner are producing. Especially at Princeton Review, we have one professor dedicated to only ethics because this is how difficult to come up with questions from this area, extremely difficult. So most of the questions are scenario based. We apply to rules to real world scenarios. This is why you should quickly brush through ethics, listen to the videos as much as you can, and see the teachers in different prep courses, especially at Princeton Review, how the teacher is tackling the question of ethics. Okay, but look, even though we said you can keep it for at the end, but do not leave it for the last week. Okay, Sometimes in ethics, the most moral answer not necessarily is the right answer in ethics. You need to think like an analyst. You need to think like a portfolio manager, trader, supervisor. That's why this topic is difficult, especially for students whose first language is not English. So as you can see, I've just gone over the best study order that we recommend to our candidates to prepare for the CFA Level I exam. And we give you a proper rationale at why we think this is the best order that have worked pretty well for candidates over the last 8 years of my teaching experience in the CFA arena. I don't only teach CFA students. I know there are so many teachers with so many years of experience. I also do a lot of service with them before, in the middle, and after the exam to learn more and more so that I can make the program or the preparation as condensed as possible. Your study can be more efficient, right? So with this, I want to give you best of luck for your preparation. And around your preparation, if you have any question or concern, you can always email us and we'll get back to you right away. Thank you.